Shalom, aloha, and welcome to the first quarter activation. Last week, we did the new moon activation, and I just want to say for anybody tuning in to these videos for the first time that these activations don't necessarily have anything to do with the moon unless you perceive it that way, of course, because perception, your perspective is everything. But the moon here is a time measure. That's all. So, given that last week was the new moon, new beginning, new cycle activation, today, a week later, we're a quarter way in, and so we're starting to see the pattern and starting to understand what the current themes are. So, to just get some clarity on that, we can ask these archetypes or characters to kind of brush away all of the excess thoughts in our mind, clear the mind clutter, and show us what are the things in there that need to be highlighted and focused on. So while you guys are tuning in, I'll go ahead and shuffle. I have the minor arcanum separate from the major arcanum. I have the bigger details separated from the smaller details, or secrets in its proper definition. Today, I feel some very specific guidance, and I'm going to ask, what is the theme of what we've stepped into for this cycle? And then that's going to be with the major arcanum, and with the minor arcanum, I'll pull two cards, one to represent how it's affecting us internally, as far as our own reflection, and then the other will be how is it reflecting us, how is it reflecting our own lessons and what we need to come to understand at this time through others and the seemingly outside world. So we'll do a little split and just see kind of how it's affecting us inside and out. So while I'm shuffling, go ahead and create a space, and the best way to do that is, first of all, know that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So where can you maybe see whether that space already exists? The most infinite space, the one of your heart. If we meet there, we immediately meet in the best space we could possibly meet in order to activate our fullest potential together and individually. So go ahead and meet me in that infinite space where nothing else exists. It's just space full of light. Putting down all of our thoughts from the day, from the week, things we've been carrying, feelings, just aside for a moment, for this activation, so that we can maximize our potential to be filled with the wisdom that wants to come through, not hindering it with these limitations we set because of what we're not willing to put down just for this one moment. And then when you're in that space, go ahead and connect to the deck however you know how, however you want to. And if you've never done it before, it's easy. Just use your imagination. You can see a thread of light coming from your third eye to the deck. You can see a gold thread going from your heart to the deck. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you. You could just, maybe you're not so much a visual person. You're more of a thinking kind of a person. Words or whatever. Use any associations, symbols, signs in your mind to connect your awareness to this deck. Weave your energy with it however you know how. It's not some fairy tale concept to do things like that, you know. It's actually very realistic if you think about it. All it does is it helps you to focus your awareness and be present. And that is the most magical thing. So it's not some weird woo-woo stuff to ask you to connect to the deck. You can give yourself permission to do that. It's not weird. It's actually quite simple, quite logical. It's magic that children know. Very logical. It just helps you to align your thoughts and your being with the frequency of that which you're wishing to accomplish or focus on. Simpler is better, in fact. I think when we don't allow ourselves to participate in those kinds of rituals, then, out of doubt or thinking it's just some fairy tale thing, we limit ourselves so much and we end up making the workload a lot more, so the imagination can open up everything. Okay. Thank you in advance to the archetype spaces of the One for bringing through this information. Now that we're 1 week into this cycle, what is the big focus? What is the biggest operating force behind everything that we're facing right now? How are we to best face it in our own reflection? What are we needing to know about how we speak to ourselves in our minds, about how we speak to ourselves even out loud or with our feelings? How can we best respond to perhaps challenges that are in the way of us nurturing our own selves and meeting our own highest needs? And how can we best integrate everything that's happening right now in our relationships? Okay. Wheel of Fortune is the card for this cycle. This is our focus right now. This card says, the wheel says, don't be afraid of new beginnings. There's a new beginning in each moment. If you live in fear of new beginnings, you'll be in fear always, even if it's subconsciously, because your bigger, more obvious beginnings are what you respond to, and they set the tone for all of your subconscious responses to the smaller changes that are happening every moment in between, all throughout the day, every day. That's why the wheel is a card within the deck, which means that it's always present. This energy is always present in each moment. It's a timeless presence, a primordial essence that's built into all of life. So however we're responding to changes, the more obvious ones, is how we're setting the tone for the smaller, subtler ones. But they're equally, if not more profound, those subtle ones. So there's a message here from the wheel telling us to pay attention to the opportunities we have in each moment for new beginnings and look at each one of them as an access point into your subconscious mind to be able to reprogram your response to change. Because whether you know it or not, we're actually responding to change each moment. Because we're growing. This is life. Change is the only constant. That's a big one. So however we're subconsciously responding to change is really a key. So let's use every change right now as an access point to call our presence in, to call our awareness into the present moment, to deeply rewrite that program that we have about how we are to respond to change. Rewrite that contract with yourself. The wheel also says, this is a big one for the collective, the wheel also says, don't give up your power. Remember that you control your fortune, good or bad. If you simply follow the universal and natural laws, if you're in alignment with these natural orders, then you will control your fate. because you will understand karma and you will understand cause and effect. You will understand how you're one with this natural system of justice built into life. And you will, of course, submit to it, because resisting is resisting your own nature. And so you begin to understand this divine order as it exists within you, and even as it exists within the cosmos. And just like many wise ones from time immemorial, we can look to the unfailing patterns of the stars, the cosmos, to align ourselves with either positive or negative, however we decide to judge it, fate, fortune. We're not just, slaves in this life. We have the ability to take the wheel. We just have to understand how the wheel works. So, of course, there are going to be opportune times to initiate a new beginning, to start a new project, to do anything. There's really a perfect moment, and you can feel it. Intuitively, you can feel it. And if you need confirmation, look to nature and look to the stars and see what patterns, what alignments may either support your plan or cause its destruction. So there's an order, and if we align with it, we absolutely can take the wheel on our own destiny. So right now I see it as a time where this makes sense with everything that the world is going through. We are, as a collective consciousness, either going to give up our power, or we're going to activate our power. We're going to take the wheel, take responsibility, take accountability for our own path and for our own fortune, and say, okay, I'm not going to sit here playing the victim, because I know what I have to do. There's work to be done. If I want, positive fortune, I have to look at my karma and say, okay, what do I have to repent for in order to balance those scales? What do I need to make right? What energies do I need to neutralize in my life with the opposite force of what I've been doing? And then if you feel perfect and great, and you're in a place of balance where you're ready to manifest good fortune, then go for it. It's all frequency. It's all about just taking responsibility for the karmic point that you're at, and then guiding your own way, making your own choices, accepting the karma that's going to come with them. We're all just looking toward neutralizing our negative karma, what manifests as negative fortune, poor fate. And then from there, we're building a positive future, where once we balance the scales, it's only a fortification of that balance from there forward. So through this time of change, and through this new lens of seeing change as present every moment, understanding our need to rewrite this program of adaptability within ourselves, how can we best handle our own selves right now? Look at our own selves. 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands is all about opposition. No matter what, knowing that you're always going to go through challenges, but you have to stay true to yourself. You have to stay true to yourself no matter what comes along. There will be times where people cheer you on. There will be times when they directly try to sabotage you. And the truth will guide the way. And you have to know when to be the voice for it and when to just be quiet and be the container for it. There's a time to defend yourself, and a time to understand that the best way to defend yourself is keeping quiet. And I think right now a big theme for the way that people are looking at their own selves is through this interesting, auspicious time we're in. People are looking at how they've been their own worst critic. A lot of people are having to look in the mirror and say, I can play the victim for only so long. I need to be true to myself. I need to stop talking about what I want to do. I need to stop just thinking about it. I need to make it happen. I need to look at myself in the mirror and say, whatever you want to happen, you can make it happen with right action. It's not just about what you're speaking, what you're preaching, what you're saying you're going to do, but about actually doing it. Whatever thoughts come up in your own mind that you tell yourself that are words of words that lack support for your own self. When you see these thoughts come up that are self-sabotaging, you need to immediately say, no, thank you. That's not what I think anymore. It's not what I choose to think. I can't oppose myself. I have to be in alignment with my goals. Whatever I choose to do, I need to make sure that my subconscious thoughts are not fighting my own plan. I need to release the resistance to my own plans. I need to release all of the subconscious programming that has been self-sabotaging up until this point. Seven of Wands. And how we're responding to the wheel with others and how to move forward with that. Then we have the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles, you can see a man working away. This is all about craftsmanship and putting your heart and soul into what you are doing. Really bringing your fullest presence into whatever projects you're working on in the material realm. And because this is relationships, the way I see it is that it's really important to be as present as possible with our relationships at these times. In these times, a lot of us are home all the time with one or two people, maybe a big family, whoever is there with you every day right now, where, when you're having to be, quarantined, or maybe you're not anymore, maybe you're out in the world, whoever you're giving the most time and energy to, pay attention to how present you're really being. Can you be a better listener? Can you share more in your own vulnerability? Can you share more of your truth and what you're feeling? Can you communicate that more? How can you face the people that you are spending the most time with right now and really bring all of yourself to that moment when you're with them? How can you fill that experience more? How can you vivify the experience of being so present in all of your relationships? And this is what we're being told right now as far as dealing with relationships in this time, in this auspicious time, as we go through big shifts, big changes. Just make sure you're bringing your whole self to the game. Super important right now. So simple, but so important. It's like a little hint from the universe. I almost see it as like the universe being like, almost like your tag is showing, a kind of a thing, when your friends got their tag sticking out and you're like, hey man, like your tag's sticking out of your shirt, you might want to fix that. That's the universe being like, hey, like check yourself in your relationships, like you can definitely step it up. You can definitely call in your presence a little more. It's kind of like, wake up, hey, wake up, like you're not fully here right now. So we're going to be given the opportunity through our relationships to see where we're not being as present. And it's going to be very obvious and it's going to be very subtle, but it's going to be very profound when we realize the potential there to be even more present with others, and then ultimately with our own selves, to be able to have that extra energy to finally see how we're subconsciously perhaps self-sabotaging. Thank you guys for tuning in for this activation reading. I'm looking forward to sitting with these cards for a bit right now. I just wanted to say that my ebook has come out and it's on Amazon, and you can check it out if you wish. It's called The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. And it's just a story about tarot, meaning the royal path, and how it's more than just cards, and how it's for everybody, anybody who wants to know more about these archetypes and how they can help you each moment. They're not just cards. They're ancient symbols that are a guiding force, and their story lives inside of your heart. And if you want to know more about that, go ahead and check it out on Amazon, The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can search for my private group, The Royal Path, and I will see your requests there and accept you. And if you're on YouTube, thanks for all those who've been following the activations on YouTube for so long now. You are awesome. You know who you are. It's like a very small crew who I see consistently every week, and it's just cool to meet up on a different platform, so thank you for that. Looking forward to next week, full moon. Again, these aren't about the moon, but the moon is our time measure, so next week is gonna be like, you know, the bigger picture of what we're experiencing right now. It's gonna be the unfolding. How do we respond to this message that we received in this activation? So I'm excited about that. Thank you guys. I will see you in 1 week, and Shabbat Shalom for tomorrow, since I'm not gonna see you guys. Peace.